Another 25NL Zoom on Pokerstars. It's been a while, so now we are back. I was busy with my other channel, the Live Poker Guide, and I finally managed to get that one monetized. So that's why I took a bit of a backseat on this one, but now I'm back and I'm hoping to be able to provide a lot more content for you guys. So this is already the first interesting hand that we got, and against this guy here, I think I am going to just raise this one. I'm going to go 9 big blinds. So I called this one in the big blind against a raise and a cold call, and now he's stabbed. And this is pretty good. We have the second nuts. And the question is what we can do. I think we have to go pretty big. Do I want to overbet this one though? I think I do, but I think I'll just go slightly over pot, something like this. And hoping to get called by a weaker flush. Or maybe something like a set, although I think she would have raised sets on the turn, so maybe I got a little too greedy in this one. So as you can see, I'm a bit rusty. I played a lot of live poker last month. Was over 100 hours, and I basically didn't manage to play almost any online cash. Here, let's see, this is not a great board for our range, but it's okay for our hand. And he donks, and I'm willing to call this one. Let's see. Well, if we have a straight, that's even better. Okay, what are we losing to? We are losing to 8-4, which he should never have. So he bets pot, and I think I want to raise this one up. Let's do something like this. It's quite likely that we're actually chopping. Okay, now I lose to a 9, but I think that's fine. The question is, I don't think he ever has a 9, and I will just jam. Because he's not the greatest of players, and he had, wow, look at this, he had pocket 8s, and he rivered a set. So, yep, going pretty well so far. So he donked with pocket 8s on that board. And then once he hit the 7, well, I say hit the 7, he had then was an open ender. Then he bet pot with an overpair and an open ender. And he then called, which I think is fine to call my raise, although fine only in the sense that he's getting the right pot odds to continue, because most likely he's not good there, but he is a non-crusher. And here we have a player who's very aggressive. The problem is this is exactly the kind of hand I don't want to continue with, so I'll tag him as being quite aggressive, and I will fold my queen 9 suited even though I'm in position. But it was not a hand that I wanted to call with. Had it been queen 10, queen jack for sure, I think I could have continued. But even against someone who has some maniacal tendencies, I still think that I don't want to call too wide. And yes, I could have gone for the 4-bet, but again, my queen was just not high enough as a blocker. With an ace or a king, I would potentially have gone for the 4-bet there. Yeah, so trying to get back into online poker, it is quite fun actually, especially if you get a double up early on within the first few hands. And 10-7 off is definitely not a defend against a 3.5x. I see I haven't played in a while, and they have changed the layout slightly. Do I like this one better than the old one? I'm kind of indifferent. It looks a little bit rounder, I have the impression. But it doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, ace queen off. We get called. That's a board that's not great for us, but we can still go with a big bet. And if we get the fold, then we are very happy with a big bet there. So yeah, why did I go with a big bet rather than a small one or a check? Well, I could definitely have checked that flop, but I can just clear out a lot of equity, and I think if I bet small, I might get called by a worse ace high or maybe even king high or something else, maybe 5-6 suited even or something like that. However, I'm actually quite happy to go big on that flop and just fold out all those hands and just clear out loads of equity. Here, ace 10 off is the bottom of my 3-betting range, but I just saw that this player folds roughly 80% of the time to 3 bets when he opens, so that definitely made me more inclined to 3-bet. So this is something that you should look out for. And here we have another one. This is another one of these examples where I am going to go for a 3-bet. This hand could in theory fold, we could call, we could 3-bet. Now, unfortunately, we get 4-bet. So yeah, the risk here was always because he was under the gun, but I had seen that he had folded 5 out of 5 times that he got 3-bet. So the previous hand worked with the ace 10. This one doesn't, and I have to fold. He's made it not like super big, but I don't want to play a 4-bet pot with ace 4 suited necessarily, especially because I think that his raise there, or his 4-bet rather, could be quite strong. But yeah, it's quite important to not just, well, sorry, I just have to think what to do here. I think I have to fold, sadly, even though I have ace 9. Yeah, so the main thing is to not play robotic or automatic all the time. So I do obviously think about, or I do want to play GTO ranges roughly. So I don't want to just raise all sorts of stuff. However, I then do look at stats and decide what to do against with players according to those stats. Here I decided to check behind because this is a cold call from the small blind, and he has quite a lot of here we have ace high, but I just don't think he's quite Broadway heavy there. I just don't think I'm ever good. So yeah, c-betting that board is fine. I would definitely have c-bet against the big blind, but against the small blind, and yes, this guy was a bit of a fish, so maybe what I'm saying is not entirely correct, or you'd have to take it with a pinch of salt. But in general, I would say small blind cold calls a lot with Broadway type of hands, and King Jack 10 is very Broadway, to say it like that. It doesn't get much more Broadway, and that's why I applied some caution. I took the free card, didn't improve, had the open ender and ace high, and when he bets half pot there, he could of course be stabbing with nothing. And yes, you could argue that I have a gut shot to the nuts. However, that's about 8 to 9%, and I needed 25% in immediate equity to call, and I just didn't think it would work. However, had I called there, it would certainly not have been a big mistake. Here I would have opened 6-3 suited just because we have very tight blinds, but once the cutoff opens, then that becomes a no for me. King 6 suited, this will be an open. 10 deuce suited. Not even gonna wait to see whether I can open it or not. 10 deuce offsuit, even a bit worse. King 10 off, slightly too early position. Had I been one further, I would have opened it. Okay, 9-6 suited. This could be a defend. This guy doesn't like to c-bet much, which is also pretty good. And we have middle pair. Yeah, the thing is, normally I would like to raise, but I still have to call here once. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible mistake to call, but because he made it pretty big, and he normally doesn't c-bet much, c-bet percentage of 38% so far. That's why I wanted to be more cautious. And now, I mean, you could, but I just don't want to go down the bluff catching route against a rather passive reg. So I opted for the fold on the turn. Okay, a few not so playable hands. Quite a few actually. Okay, king 7 suited. This will probably be a hand that we can defend. Definitely against a min raise for someone who shapes up to be quite active. Okay, we have second pair. He goes quite small. Now we could... I'm okay to just call this one. I was thinking of check raising, but because he is quite aggressive, I will just have to call this one again, even though we only have second pair. And now on this river, I will check, and he does have the ace, unfortunately, and it was a pretty good flop for him. But yeah, I saw that he was 86-71. I mean, only over 7 hands. But then he also opened the 8th one. And with all of that, I just thought that he might have some bluffs there. Ace 8 off is quite a loose open. I mean, it is the bottom of that one, of that position. But against the limper, I thought I could isolate him. And now we have a very passive player 3-betting me. So definitely folding. Even if someone else had 3-bet me there, I would have folded ace 8 offsuit, which was already very borderline as an open. And here again, I'm not going to open this one because we have this player again in the big blind, who we just lost that pot to when I had king 7 and he had ace 6. Ace jack suited though in the big blind. We have a cold caller. And I think I just want to call. And unfortunately, this flop is not amazing for our hand. And once the recreational player pots it against 2 opponents, I'm out of it, and I just want to see if anything interesting develops here. This guy does call. I don't think he has a very strong hand because against 2 players he would have bet it, or at least then check raised against this guy's pot bet. So I think it's more like maybe queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, ace 8. That would be my guess. Well, let's see how good we are in our ranging. I think this guy, well, he bets again. He could have some sort of a king jack or something like that, although we block a jack, king 10 even. Ooh, well, actually, the check raise on the river was an interesting one. So he does seem to have had a strong hand then that he sandbagged. Maybe he did have pocket kings and just played them super passively. And the snap fold from the recreational player suggests that he probably didn't even have a king, because I don't think he would snap fold a king there after betting for value on the river. So he was probably just pushing some buttons. Fair enough. Okay, so this guy really does seem to be very active. I am going to call the ace-5, and unfortunately we're not getting much. Now at this point we have quite a good hand, but I think I'm going to go for the check raise because I think he might use this one. Oh, he doesn't, but look at this. How pretty. Well, if he has an ace now, he might actually call, so that's why I'm gonna go fairly big. Unfortunately, we couldn't get him to call there, so I don't know what he had. Maybe he had some pocket pair that didn't connect with the board. And we got a runner, nut flush, but no action. Okay, the cold caller, which is not great. This is pretty bad flop for us. I'm gonna check and go for a check raise. Okay, now it's pretty good. Now we have the full house. I'm gonna go fairly big, but unfortunately he probably doesn't connect at all. I was hoping that maybe he had something like pocket sevens with a club, or I mean, ideally an ace, but that was not the case. King 9 off, not going to play that. Okay, this is an interesting one. I am going to 3-bet him, although I know he is quite aggressive, so I wouldn't be shocked if he puts in the 4-bet. It doesn't. Okay, so this is one where I have to play big bet or check. I am going with a big bet. He called again. He called quite quickly, so I think I will need to slow down. And now we do have top pair, top kicker. He goes just under half pot. So I don't think he has anything massive. He could have jacks or queens, of course, but with top pair, top kicker, getting this sort of a price, I just can't fold against an aggressive opponent who might be doing this with pocket nines or so. I have to call, and he has the what? Oh my goodness. He called me with Jack 9 offsuit pre-flop. Then he called my half pot bet out of position with a gut shot. And then he, of course, got there on the river. And then he didn't even go half pot. Well, okay. Fair enough. I mean, we lost a pretty big pot there, but I'm actually quite happy in general because he made that big mistake pre-flop. He made a big mistake on the flop. In calling Jack 9 offsuit out of position. 3-bet. Yeah, It's an interesting choice. Okay, here we have an early position limper. I will just check and see what develops. This board is not great for my hand, and it's better for his range anyway. He definitely has the stronger range compared to me. This king is actually not bad. I will see. I probably won't be able to get 2 streets of value, so I'm just gonna overbet it now, and I'm gonna go something like this, because if he has some 10 or a 9, he will have to call. But sadly, no. Okay. So again, a few hands that are not exactly playable. So yeah, I was saying, like, obviously the under the gun limper has a much stronger range than the big blind who just checks his option, because I basically have everything except for good hands. He might be trapping, or if he's not trapping, he has all sorts of middling hands, which we both have. However, he doesn't have the rubbish hands. I'm gonna call here. 3.6 is a huge open, but I have king 9 suited, so because I have a suited hand, I'm just about okay to call there. Now my hand is not good enough to bet. I will have to check, and if he bets now, which he doesn't do, and I think at this point I just want to go for value. I don't really know what he has, but I am going to go for 3/4 pot and hoping that he, well, I mean, I don't know, he probably doesn't have sevens through queens, but maybe he'll call me with an ace high. And we do get paid. He mucks, and he had ace jack. Yeah, look at this. Great. So that's exactly the type of hand that I was hoping to get called by. This is not a great board for my hand, so I will do a lot of checking. Don't even know what I would really bet at that point. Here could go for value with top pair, but I don't think I can go for 2 streets of value. And because we're out of position, I will check, and I will check call if he bets. He does bet. He bets about, was that 2/3 or so? So yeah, I have to call. And on this river, we'll have to evaluate now. Thing is, if he bets again, he's saying that he has a fairly big hand, but he doesn't. So this was nice. He had, oh yeah, he had the open ender, which I think, well, I don't know in his place whether I would bet that, because he actually has a bit of showdown value with the ace, and it's hard for him to fold out a better hand, because I probably won't fold ace king, ace queen, ace jack, and the hands that I would fold out are basically only hands that he beats. So I think there was a mistake there of him. Yes, he does have good outs to improve with the open ender. However, that's not a reason to bet. The reason to bet is to make a better hand fold, get a weaker hand to call, or to deny equity, but on the turn that's not quite that much of a thing to deny equity. Okay, so 3-bet pot. We are extremely deep, which is something I do not like. But we have top pair, top kicker, and so we are going for the small c-bet. And he now shoves. Oh my goodness. That's, what on earth is that? This is making me sick now. Okay, let's see. there anything? I mean, I just have to call it off, I think. I don't know. Like, would he do this with tens? Would he do this with ace 10? With fours? Like ace 10, I can see potentially, but I still think I just have to call this one. It's just silly. It just is silly. But he did do it with a set. That's incredible. That's really incredible. And now I lost my entire stack. So, yeah, this we were incredibly deep, and this was such a setup to give him middle set and give me top pair, top kicker in a 3-bet pot. Now, the question is, I don't know, could I have gotten away from this one or not? I did try to think it through, and I just didn't think that he would do this with a set. But that's probably exactly why he did it. He was quite smart, but it was quite risky for him to do that. But it worked out very well for him. Unfortunately, didn't work out for me. On this one, we have middle pair, and I think there's nothing else to do than to call. So yeah, I will want to review this one. And now he's betting again. Okay, I'll just fold. This is a close one. But yeah, it looked so good for a while, and then you have this one big pot where I did get unlucky, and I do think that it was mostly unlucky. So yeah, the question is, like, because we're so deep and he jams, whether I should actually just fold there, but yeah, I don't know. That's the thing is, I can't even consult the solver on that because that was just a very exploitative play by the opponent. I'm going to c-bet this one, and I'm getting raised. Okay, may have to fold. Don't have much going in that hand. Okay, we have a limper, and here I am happy to raise up the limper, who is quite short stacked, 31 to 2 big blinds. We have top pair, second kicker. I think I'm gonna go for a check because he might just be stabbing. Look at this. Now this is the worst card in the deck, unfortunately. I did not go for value on the flop. Wanted to let him bluff, and now look at this. This is like really annoying, but I do have to still call for half pot. The ace on the river is actually quite good because it means that it's unlikely, makes it more unlikely that he has an ace. And he checks and loses. What did he have? He had 9-10. Okay, so he had an open ender. Fair enough. Okay, pocket seven's pretty good. This is one that I would c-bet quite a bit anyway. Unfortunately, just a fold. Yeah, not running super well here, are we? Ace 10 suited. We could call. I prefer to raise it up against a player who won the EPT. Look at this. From Germany. And we get 4-bet. And against this 4-bet, I think I do want to call. We have a suited hand. It's not great because we're dominated, but I am going to call, and yeah, that's the problem. That now we do flop top pair, but he might have a good hand. I'm going to check this one behind. There's no reason to stab. The turn's quite good, giving us the nut flush draw. If he checks again, I actually feel quite confident about my hand, but I will check behind, and when this queen is not great, but if he bets, I will have to call. If he doesn't, I will bet. How much can we get there? I'm gonna go for 23 big blinds and hoping to get a crying call from pocket kings. Or maybe, I don't think he has ace 5 or ace 4. That would be good because now we would win with our kicker. So we shouldn't get raised after he checked 3 times. That would be quite a weird line to take, both with value and with a bluff. Although he is an EPT winner after all, so I don't know. But he finds a fold there, so he might indeed have had pocket kings or pocket jacks. So it's always important to range players a bit. And okay, he makes it 3 big blinds, which is why I will fold. So when he 4-bets me there, he has ace king, aces, kings, probably some queens and some jacks, although probably not pure because he would call some of them. He might have ace queen, ace jack, some other ace x, like ace 5, ace 4, and so on. And then with a line that he took to just check the flop and then check the turn, makes it quite unlikely for him to have a really strong hand. So at that point, kings seemed the most likely hand. And then I didn't really think it through. I think on the river, maybe I should have made it a little bit smaller just to make it a bit more appealing for him to call with those kings, because he narrowed it down a lot to that hand, to be honest. So I think 70% of the time he has kings and 25% times he has jacks, and the other 5% are some monster that he slow played or some other weird stuff. Queen 5 suited. I will just fold. Close one though. Okay, let's play this one more orbit. We have a passive player who makes it 3.4. I am going to call the king jack suited against that. I mean, there is always a chance that this guy, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is annoying now. This is really annoying. Obviously, I can't call, and I knew that there was a chance that he would jam, but I thought the chance was quite low against a fairly big bet and a call. But yeah, that player is a non-crusher, and so he might not even have noticed that, or he might just have had a hand. Right, this is it. We have lost quite a bit, unfortunately, was that one hand. Let's just refresh my graph for today. So we're doing okay on the non-showdown winnings. We did very well for all of this. And then we had this one horrible hand. And I will analyze it, although I just don't think that it really will get me anywhere. But yeah, that, let, let's have another look at it. So he raised, we 3-bet, he called, and then when I c-bet small here, which I basically do with range, for him to now shove, it's a very, very unusual play. And yeah, well, kudos to him. He absolutely got me there. I did call. I needed 44% equity, and I just, yeah, I think in hindsight, maybe I should have folded because the only thing that makes sense other than the monster that he's playing this with this weird line would be a flush draw, and he, or like a combo draw, king queen of hearts maybe, or king jack of hearts, something like that. But and even against those hands, I am actually not that big of a favorite. So actually, I think this was a mistake. Now that I'm thinking about it, this was clearly a big mistake of mine. But it's good that I've recognized this, and this is always important at the end of your sessions. And if you made a mistake, own it and try to improve next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.